So, why should you learn to program? I mean, really, if you're thinking it's just for professional software developers, I want you to put that idea aside for a minute. Because we're going to explore why programming is actually a creative, super powerful skill for everyone. It's a tool for solving problems that you run into every single day. Let's start with a really basic question. What are computers actually good at? You and I, we use them all day long, but have you ever just stopped and thought about what makes them so powerful? Well, as you're about to see, their biggest strengths are the exact opposite of ours. And this slide just nails it. We humans, we're great at creativity, at intuition, at coming up with brand new ideas out of thin air. Computers, though, they are absolute masters of the repetitive, boring, mundane stuff. You know, the kind of work that would make us lose our minds. This isn't a competition. It's the foundation of a perfect partnership. Okay, let me give you a real-world example. Here's a little challenge. Read a few paragraphs from a book and tell me the most common word and exactly how many times it shows up. Now, you can understand what the text means in a few seconds, right? But the counting part? It's slow, it's tedious, and let's be honest, you'd probably make a mistake. Our brains just aren't wired for that kind of work. But for a computer, that's a whole different story. A simple little program can zip through that text and give you the answer instantly. In the book that this explainer is based on, the word to was used 16 times. Boom. No effort, no mistakes. This is the power we're talking about, handing off the boring stuff to a partner that does it perfectly every single time. So let's start thinking about this differently. Your computer isn't just some box on your desk. It's your own personal digital assistant. It's this incredibly powerful partner just sitting there, ready and waiting for you to give it instructions. The only question is, how do we actually do that? Okay, if you could look deep inside your computer's hardware, you'd find its brain, the central processing unit, or CPU, and it is stuck in this unbelievably fast loop. I'm talking billions of times every second. It's asking one simple question over and over. What would you like me to do next? It's just waiting for a command. And that, right there, is all a program really is. It's just you writing down a set of instructions ahead of time. You are literally answering the computer's constant question. You're telling your assistants exactly what to do, step by step, to get a job done. So here's the absolute key to all of this. It's a partnership. You are the brains of the operation. You're the one with the creativity, the ideas, the whole problem-solving strategy. Your computer, it just brings the raw, tireless processing power to execute your plan without ever getting bored or making a mistake. Of course, any good partnership needs good communication. So how in the world do you talk to this new assistant of yours? Well, that brings us to our next section, speaking the language. We're going to see how we can start a conversation using a language called Python. When you first start up the tool that lets you talk to Python, it's called the interpreter. You're going to see this prompt, 3 of these greater than signs. Now, don't just think of that as a boring, blinking cursor. I want you to see it as Python, looking right at you and asking, okay, what do you want me to do next? It's ready to have a conversation. Now look, any conversation is going to have some misunderstandings, and that is a massive part of learning to code. So that brings us to our third topic here, embracing the errors. It's time we reframe what it actually means when things go wrong. You know, the author of our source material, Dr. Charles Severance, he nails this feeling perfectly. When you're just starting out, every little error message can feel like a personal attack. It's so easy to think the computer is just being mean and hateful on purpose, right? You make one tiny little typo, you spell print as primped or something, and bam, you get this scary-looking syntax error. The whole program just stops. It feels so harsh, so unforgiving. But what if we looked at this from a completely different angle? This is, hands down, my favorite analogy from the book. Python isn't some cruel critic just waiting for you to fail. It's actually much more like a loyal dog. It loves you unconditionally, it wants to make you happy, it just only understands a few keywords. So when it gives you a syntax error, it's not being mean. It's just kind of wagging its tail and saying, I didn't get that, but I really want to. Please, try again. So if our loyal partner is just waiting for us to say something it understands, what are those words? What can it actually do? You might think it's this huge, complicated vocabulary, but you'd be surprised. Believe it or not, pretty much every single program in the entire world is built from just these 5 basic ingredients. First up, input. That's getting data from the outside world, like a user typing something in. Then you've got output, showing the results, like printing a message on the screen. There's sequential. That's just doing things in order, one step after another. Then conditional. This is making choices, like if the answer is yes, then do this. And finally, repeated, doing something over and over again. That's it, seriously. The entire art of programming is just you creatively mixing and matching these 5 simple ideas. Okay, so you've got the partner, you've got the 5 building blocks, now we just need the last piece of the puzzle, having the right mindset for your learning journey. Learning to code is not a straight line. It's almost exactly like learning to speak a new language, like French or Spanish. At first, it feels super awkward. You have to think about every single word, every piece of grammar. But if you stick with it, it slowly becomes more natural. And eventually, you start to actually think in that language. You just got to be patient with yourself. So what are the big ideas to walk away with today? Well, if you remember nothing else, remember these 3 things. 1, programming is for everyone, not just the pros. 2, think of it as a creative partnership with your computer to solve problems. And 3, and this is maybe the most important, errors are not failures. They're just part of the conversation with your new, very friendly partner. And that really brings us to the final question I want to leave you with. Now that you can think of your computer as this eager, incredibly powerful assistant, what's the very first tedious, boring, or difficult task that you would ask it to solve for you?